It's sick.
We're checking into Psyck.
Sick.
Yo, check it out. It's a sick discussion.
Sick.
You tuned in to Sick Discussions. You are now listening to a Sick Discussion.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Sick Discussion.
Sick.
As always, it's your boy, Reggie So Dope.
What up, it's Devin.
What's good, y'all? It's Marv.
And we have such a special episode.
Drum roll.
We have a guest, okay? And this guest is one of my favorite people. Okay, this is one of those speakers who ain't gonna yell at you, but instead she's gonna inspire you with her truth. Oh my God. She is an author and just a completely authentic individual. We got Natalie in the building. Nat, how you feeling?
Let's go.
Man, y'all sure know how to make a person feel welcome. I appreciate that. And you said my name right. Very few people say it right. So you can say my name right, you automatically
Say my name.
Okay.
Say
Win
my
me over.
name.
Okay, Nat. So before we even tell them what we'll be talking about today,
Yeah.
it's about you right now. This is your
Okay.
moment.
It's all about
Gas yourself. Let us know why you are dope
yourself.
enough to be on this episode.
Yeah,
What do you do?
You gotta earn my keep to, in order to come on this podcast for this episode.
Message.
So I do a variety of things. I am a fourth year doctoral candidate.
Yeah,
All right now.
come on, Doc.
Let's go.
Almost.
So I am currently working on my PhD in communication with a focus in identity and diversity, studying specifically voluntary kin within the Black community. So voluntary kin is like those play cousins that live next door,
Let's go.
aunties that's your mama's best friend, or y'all consider yourselves not to be friends, but like brothers and things like that. And so I love looking at those kind of relationships and seeing what's the validation process. Like what has to happen from y'all going from being just friends to like, no, that's my brother. Like if you step to him, you step to me. So what's the validation process of those relationships? What's the impact of those relationships? And what's the benefits of those relationships? I love studying it. And then also too, how those relationships help us when we get in tough times. So I did a research study last summer of Black women that have been ghosted. I may need security after I publish that at some point. Black women that have been ghosted, but how their Black sisterhood helped them get through it. And so I'm working on my dissertation. I just successfully presented the proposal for it. The first 3 chapters, 52 pages. And for the dissertation, I'll be looking at how Black bereaved moms that have lost a child to gun violence, how they use spirituality and sisterhood as tools of resilience.
All right now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I
So
wasn't
it's
expecting that kind of
My
guest.
favorite guest in the building. Where's the air horns?
Not expecting. That's dope.
But that's not it. There's more, right?
But
wait, there's
There we go. If you call now. So in addition to that, I'm also a college instructor. So I teach at the collegiate level. I've been teaching college for 7 years. So I teach public speaking and relational communication. And then that's not it. I'm also a keynote speaker. So I get to travel the country and give keynotes on student leadership, collegiate success, academic development, Black and multicultural Greek leadership, everything pretty much. So I do that. And not even just a collegiate circuit, also high school. And I've done some middle school stuff too. And then I'm also an author.
Come on.
Come on.
Wait, this boy.
So I have my first book, Interview, INNER, Lessons in Leadership. And it looks at the biggest lessons in life and leadership that I've learned. And each chapter has its own interview or INNER questions, reflection questions with the themes of each chapter. And so the book literally looks at the importance of saying no as a leader. It looks at how do you lead despite trauma? How do you lead in new places? How do you know when it's time for you to leave old places in order to go to a new place? Because sometimes we become like the big man on the totem pole in some places, and it's real easy to stay comfortable there. But it takes a special kind of leader to say, "I've done everything on this level. It's time for me to go somewhere where I got to start over from scratch, but I'm willing to learn." It talks about I like quit my corporate job a couple years ago when I was making more money than I could spend. And I left in order to go to a PhD program making like a third or a fourth of what I was making. and then turned around, and I felt like a hustler because I like made it all back plus more type of thing. I had to bet on myself. It talks about faith. It talks about mentorship. It talks about counterfeit mentorship, authentic mentorship.
Hold on now.
It's a sermon in each chapter
now.
and it's just a book of it's a book of transparency that scares me. It's a book of authenticity. It's a book of vulnerability, but it's really a book of sharing my experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly with other people, so they can have that as their blueprint. There's a quote from Uncle Charlotte. I call him Uncle Charlemagne. He says, a smart person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from mistakes of others. And so I get to kind of give my wisdom out to people.
That's so dope. I love it.
So yeah,
We are
that's
snapping in the basement.
you got to do it. And please believe it has not been easy. Don't be fooled and think that it's like, don't let these lashes fool you. It is not easy. And I did not go into this thinking that I wanted to become a professor, which I will become a professor. I'm technically an instructor now because I don't have the PhD yet. But every step that I take, I get like a glimpse of what else I'm supposed to do. So I don't have a bigger picture. I got some stuff, but what I'm supposed to do next, sometimes I only know by being willing to take that next step. So I'm excited to see what'll be up. But I'm about to be Dr. Bay real soon.
Let's go.
Okay.
Dr. Bay. Really Dr. Nat, but in my head, I'm like, I'm Dr. Bay.
I'm here for Dr. Bay. I'm here for it.
That's what's up.
And so never question when I say you are one of my favorite people.
Back at you,
Right.
likewise.
Like you really, you about that.
Got
Like
to.
okay. All right, let's get into the episode.
All right now.
We could just gas her.
Look, we could gas her.
We got a whole
20 minutes.
Okay.
She is the episode, y'all.
She
Actually,
is. And so today's episode is centered around breaking habits. When is it time to call it quits? Because very traumatically as Black people, we are taught that we should never quit. And quitters never prosper. Quitters never win. But I actually believe quitters do fairly well.
Okay.
It's totally okay to be like, I'm tired of this church, grandma. Sometimes you gotta let it go.
Let it go.
Okay. Love TKO. So let's get started.
Let's get to it.
How would y'all define the term habit? We're gonna start real basic.
Real basic.
'Cause we gonna cook.
Okay.
But we're gonna slow cook.
We gonna throw it to
okay?
our
'Cause
guests.
This is pot roast.
I was gonna say pot
And
A
don't
nice
throw them
pot
potatoes and them carrots in yet, because they gonna be mushy. This is all meat.
Someone they go
Okay.
in last.
So we're gonna start with our guest, Nat.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define the term habit?
Consistency.
Okay.
Yes, I think most habits are something that you do consistently with consistency. Bars.
Hold on.
We're still really finished. Hold on. Not after the game.
And that wasn't written down.
Hold on. That might be the first guest to give a one-word description and it be just so spot on.
Fire. Instant fire. That's
But
what-
here's the thing, though, that becomes dangerous because when you do it consistently with consistency, sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. And when it's like a toxic or a bad habit, it's just, it almost becomes a part of who you are, like ingrained in your every fiber of your being, right? In your DNA. So that's my definition. What y'all think?
We got any
no, talk about what I think. Can I think? Ain't nothing else for me to think.
I thought I was in the audience.
I told y'all I'm a teacher,
I
right?
love to hear it.
Oh,
Okay,
Nat came. She did not come
Talk
to
about what I
play.
think.
Yeah,
What
locked
did you-
I ain't got
and
nothing else to
loaded.
think.
Locked
She
and
did not
loaded.
come to play because she watches the podcast for real.
Drop it.
So
Look.
That's how I am in like I'm not in doctoral coursework anymore because I finished it, but I felt like I had something to prove when I was in coursework. So I'd be in class, we talking about articles. I'm quoting page numbers. On page 55, Johnson and Dixon 2020 said X, Y, and Z. And the professor would be like, oh. And I'm like, I read
Professor
it.
talking about, I don't even know
I
that.
sure
I didn't know
did.
that. Right. I didn't know that. That's what's up.
Okay, all right, bro. So how would y'all define the term habit?
Yeah, I'll definitely like I guess definition of consistency.
Okay.
A habit, which we're gonna get into it, good or bad, could either be a good or bad thing. Like Natalie said, can be into your DNA. So if it's a bad habit that's in your DNA, that's just a whole other thing that you don't really want, because in order to get like better in life, hit your goals, you have to be consistent with good habits. And if those bad habits are slowing you down, then it's just like, where are you gonna go type of thing.
Any parsley swab?
They definitely hit it on the head. Like you said, things that's consistent make you who you are. It's your tendencies, like you said, things you do without even thinking. And with bad habits, I definitely think like it's something that's hard for you to get rid of. It's hard for you to shake. Like when it's a habit, like if it's something you're just doing, like okay, I can just drop it at any moment. Like if it's a habit, like something you're like ingrained into you, it's really hard to let go of it. So that's how you realize if you have like a bad habit.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and so to just give you a little more parsley on a different plate is really what you do naturally, what you do by habit. Whether you know you're doing it or not, you probably struggle to stop doing it. It's just something that comes off so clean, so easy, so natural.
Natural.
Right. So then what would be the difference between like good and bad habits? And some of y'all started to already hint at some of the bad habits, but like what's the difference in a good habit or a bad habit?
I think a good habit, how many days it takes to form like, I want to say like 30, 21. It takes like 21 days to form a habit. Well, and it could be good or bad now. So if you want a life change, a life goal, and you know you got to be consistent. Those will be the word for the episode. Consistent.
It's all is.
You go take 21 days. So if you want to get fit, work out on that 7th day, you can't be like, oh, it's time for a cheat. No. You're gonna need a good 21 days before you can get maybe a cheat day in, so you can build that habit to be consistent on what you want to do and the goal you want to reach. But I don't like talking too much because we got a guess.
Niggas.
Read the question one time.
I got you. So what's the difference from your perspective in like good and bad habits?
I would say you have to ask yourself, is there any value add taking place with this habit? And then also too, what's the outcome of it? So I think when you really sit and you honest with yourself and other people,
that's important.
And you have to see like, okay, does this add value? Does it add value to me? Does it add value to other people? Because sometimes we can have a habit that's toxic and it adds value to us, but it takes away from other people. Right? So if you got a habit of, God forbid, stealing money out of somebody's purse, or you scamming. Come on now. Come on now.
PPP.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, and they knocking on them people's doors. What Drake say? Just wait on it.
Wait on it.
It's about to be a lot of grandmas in jail.
Just messing up they mama and grandma's social security
Grandma couldn't even get some roaches out her house, and now you finna have her locked up for a PPP loan.
Not the roaches.
Okay, let's
right? So, but God forbid, if you're scamming or something like that, it's adding value to you. It's adding value to your not your paycheck, but your bank account for now. For the time being. It's adding value, but it's taken away, from somebody else. So you have to look at those two things realistically and be honest.
Okay.
So yeah.
I love that. I was gonna say, like good versus bad, if it's productive or not. That's not necessarily a clear cut decision. Like I mean decision, but like a factor to realize, like if it's bringing value to you, if it's something that's building you, growing you, like you're actually it's just being like more productive, and that's a good habit versus like it's complete opposite. Yeah. And I think we tend to realize our bad habits, but like I said, it's just hard to shake them. Like if you're lazy, you procrastinate, you're not committed to anything, like you or whatever it is. Like I think we recognize our bad ones, it's just hard to shake them. So if it brings, like you said, more value to you, then that's normally a good habit.
I think that's where a good team comes in, though, right? Yeah. So if you're consistently lazy, you consistently aren't doing what you're supposed to do. I think that's where having a good team can come in. When somebody could tap on your shoulder and be like,
"What are you doing?
Yo, you didn't have the same goal for the past 5 years, and you ain't moved the needle yet." but I love you too much to watch you sit on your potential and just to be chill.
Yeah.
You know? So I think having a good team can help you kind of reel and re-steer the ship with those bad habits and kind of help you steer and make them good.
Yeah, that's definitely important.
Yeah.
Even already know, do not tell me a goal. If you are my friend, I'm going to be the next month like, hello, what's going on? Like, is some life stuff happening that you can't do this, or are you just procrastinating? Like, what's going on? Let's hit this. It's not gonna be done overnight, and it's not gonna be done you sitting on the couch. Okay,
accountability.
Yeah. Ooh, y'all snapping. All right, let's get into it then. Let's get into it. So then, any of these habits that you like currently have, right? Do you feel like you picked up any of these habits from like your parents or other family members? So like, one, what are some of these habits you feel like you possess? And then two, where you get them from? Who brought these habits into your existence? Or maybe it's just something you possess, you know what I mean?
One of my bad habits is trying to be a perfectionist and trying to make sure everything's right. Especially as a graphic designer and photographer, I always try to get the best shot, make sure the colors matching. Like this got to do this got to do that. It has to match the vision in my head, or it's not being seen by the light of day. And I realized that eventually I was kind of sitting on some good designs or some good things when I'd be like showing to some people, show it to Reggie, show it to Marv, show it to some other friends. I'm like, what y'all think of this? And then when they be like, oh, that's so fire, I'm like, huh? Y'all think this look good? Like
for me?
Me? He's like, oh my God. Y'all sure? What about the color? So like, no, that's fire. I'm like, wow. So maybe this isn't that. Like maybe this could be shared with the world. So that's one bad habit that I have.
It's all this.
I wouldn't say that I even got it. I don't know. Actually, don't know where I got it from, honestly. 'Cause my mom isn't the biggest like perfectionist, I don't think. So this might have just been something that God was just like, this is for you. This is how you're gonna work. Like this is.
But honestly, to get in your business though, so like, do you feel like there are moments where like your OG maybe was not organized, and so you're like, no, I have to be organized? Because that's the thing about like learning things from parents. Like sometimes it's not just about how they were and we adapt that. Sometimes it's like what they lacked that we made sure we picked up that skill to become the opposite.
To not get too much into family business.
Air it out. No, I'm joking. Don't.
I was the only child. My dad wasn't really involved in my life. My two aunts, they're not that much older than me, so they're kind of more like my sisters. So I was kind of I just always felt, I even talked to my mom about this actually. I always felt like I had to be like perfect, be the male, be like, oh, I got this. Oh, ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm good. Like, you've sacrificed all these things. X, Y. It's like, who am I to complain? Like, I got new shoes, Game Boy, PlayStation, like
PSP.
I don't have the right to be sad. Like, and when I kind of grew up by like college, I realized that I wasn't really tapped into my emotions because of them. Because I was like, I never like, it's like, who am I to like sad, depressed? Like, I got everything I need, like food in my mouth, roof over my head, new, like everything. And it's just like, I never really tapped into those emotions until I got into college and like just figured out life and who I really wanted to be, to where I was like, oh, this is why I did this, or why I did that. So that all kind of like came full circle.
Okay.
Reggie trying to get me on the pod. Doing all this, child.
He done turned into Yanla.
Okay.
Beloved.
Tell me why this happened. I don't remember that question being on the docket.
It wasn't. Made me so proud. You just open it up.
Yeah. That's that self-awareness. That's why I named the book Interview, like to literally sit and self-reflect and to sit in the discomfort of sometimes digging deep to really pinpoint the root of different things.
We have to get into that book.
Okay. We're going to
have to read some things, getting some things. Getting some things.
We might do some YouTube exclusives.
Let's go.
Okay.
But all right, everybody else. It's like, what are some of the habits that you have? And do you feel like you've picked those up from other family members, peers, whatever?
Nat.
My turn.
So you want to
I'll go. It's fine. I got it. I can relate a lot to you, Devin. Actually, we may be related. I don't know. We got some similarities. So definitely perfectionism for sure. But kind of besides that, I would say I'm like pushed through perfectionism. I'm like, I'm not going to drive myself up a wall trying to be perfect because you can never reach that. So you're trying to obtain something that you can never reach. You'll be tired all day. So I would say that. And then also too, overworking. And I would say within the last year, I've been so intentional about not overworking, like so intentional about it. And I've done so much better. But a lot of times overworking had came from like a couple of different places. I would say it was something I picked up from like my life experiences. And so like even in the book, I talk about that, shameless plug. I talk about like losing my mom at 13 years old unexpectedly. And she was like my everyday mom, like, you know, doing my hair, teaching me about life, making sure she would always say, don't get caught up in no little boy's face. You know what I mean? Like she really was giving me like gems for life. And so she passed away unexpectedly. And me being present when that happened, it's like, that's trauma. Like, nobody want to have to sit and think about that. And my life had shifted so much after her death that I was just like, listen, I'm going to throw myself into this work. I'm going to be an A student. That's going to give me something to do to not think about it. And then when I became an adult, I saw how that was really unhealthy because I was literally burning out, like suffering from exhaustion because I was working so hard. So I'm like, all right, let me go see Iyanla and see what's going on. Get my life fixed. And I had, I got a great therapist. She's so dope. And we really got to sit down and like, all right, let's talk about this. Like, let's walk through this and let's pinpoint this. And once I was able to pinpoint while I was overworking, I got like this breakthrough and I eventually learned to like find healthy ways to cope with my mom's death. And not use work as an excuse. And so I learned to have a healthy prioritization with doing things on my list. So though I'm successful now, I would say it's not even like the goals, or the things that I've accomplished that we like ran down at the beginning. Like, oh, Nat, that's what's up. Honestly, that for me, yes, that makes me successful. But what I'm most proud of is learning to be like healthy and whole and to be aware of what my bad habits are and to consistently like sit and think through this and say, does this add value? If not, how can I re-steer the ship and make it a good habit for me? And so that was one of the things that I picked up through life. I say life will hand you baggage. It's your responsibility to go through that bag. I'm preaching a sermon right now. Because if you do not go through that baggage, you will get on a plane with people that ain't got nothing to do with that. You would bring the whole plane down.
I'm about to knock everything over.
That baggage gonna be right there.
You know what I mean? And them people don't even know the baggage is on the plane. A bar. And that is real. That is so real. And I said that exact same quote in at a brunch with some of my really, really good friends. We call ourselves the Golden Girls. That's in the book too. And I was explaining to that because I was the first one out of my girl group to go to therapy. And I'm like, y'all, this is lit. This is dope. And I gave that analogy. And what I didn't know was one of my really good friends that was sitting across from me was going through her own stuff, some family stuff. And she was like, Nat, when you said that quote about the airplane, she said, oh no, I got to go get some healing. I got to go find out what this is about. And so for me, I think that bad habits are inevitable. And it's our just responsibility to sit with it and be okay with not being perfect and to find out how we can get to the root of our things. Because what you're not going to do is hold these bad habits around and say, that's just how I am. And then think you're going to raise kids and pass those bad habits off. And you going to mess somebody else up.
That's facts.
So that's it.
I thought that's it. Drop the gym after gym.
Drops mic.
My God. Let's get back into it.
Okay.
Just what are some of the habits that you have, man? Who do you think you got them from?
Okay, so family members and parents, I think good and bad habits I definitely picked up from them. And it took from like other people to point certain things out about me that I do. And it honestly started just hitting honestly now, like within the last year, like whether this was like somebody I dated years ago or family members, cousins, whoever, like they would point things out about me, like literally years down the line. And it's just now resonating with me, like whether it's good or bad that I do. So specifically like the bad, definitely I get from my parents. And I would say like the communication is like a key one. And it may sound crazy, like it's literally a good and bad, because I feel like since I'm just now growing into it and learning, like, you know, some things I need to change, I like overcompensate. Like, I need to be very like clear. Like when I'm talking to A, B, and C about whatever it is. If I have an issue with somebody, I need to be direct. But I always wasn't that way. And I think it comes from like just my upbringing. So like with communication, I would like let a lot of things slide. Like, but I feel like growing up, I didn't really have the space to like properly communicate like my feelings. So as I gotten older, I would like, if you said Natalie said something to me and like it bothered me, like if I feel like it didn't disrespect me to like a certain degree, like okay, I'll just let it slide. But like now I'm realizing like, no, if it bothers you, like even like an inkling, like I'm gonna mention it now.
You
like,
gonna
hey,
get this work.
I'm gonna bring it to you, like, you know, in a way we can discuss it while you feel like you can take it. Like I'm not disrespecting you, but like, I'm just letting you know, like, look, I'm putting this on your radar. You did A, B, and C, and it bothered me. But before, I would like let a lot of stuff slide, and like just reflecting back. And honestly, it comes from therapy. Like therapy definitely helped me. I look back, like, and she was telling me, like, you know, you do A, B, and C because of these relationships, and like outside, like, okay, like it low key made me mad, and they're like, you don't know me, but like, okay,
You gonna tell me this?
Okay, I'm paying you to bash me, like, stop it. But okay, so yeah, so now I realize like a lot of the things. Communication is like literally my big one. It could be like a close friend, whether I'm dating. I would feel like if they did something that rubbed me the wrong way, I would probably like brush it under the rug because I feel like, okay, let me just keep the peace within this relationship. But now I'm like, no, I'm not finna hold back. And especially when I learned where it came from, like, yo, I need to speak up. And I feel like it just made things like a million times more easier for me. Like, I'm gonna tell you the truth, like whether it makes you feel a certain way or not, like we can talk about that later, but I feel better because I got it off my chest. Like I brought it to you respectfully, A, B, and C, this is how I feel. So I said therapy definitely put it on my radar, but the upbringing definitely played a huge part in like that negative trait about myself, or that negative habit, I should say. So
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, no, there's so many habits that I had that I realized I like got from growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a person who holds on to relationships for dear life. You know what I mean? It's like, no, if we have some type of relationship, you know, traditionally, I would do everything to save that relationship. But like, one thing I learned was that came from my mom. My mom's a hoarder. And so she hoarded physical things. And so for me, like, I was just like, oh, things don't matter, but people do. And I started to hoard people. And it's like hoarding people to me is worse than hoarding things, because at least the thing is just their thinging. People change and they bring you all types of vibes and energies and all that. It's like, you know, when that your time is up with a thing. If you have an action figure and all of the limbs are broken, okay, that one's done. You have food in the fridge and it starts to stink. You got to let that one go. But with people, you can't smell that. I mean, unless you can. That's different. That's a different type of issue. You know what I mean? Like it's different. And so like when I realized like I had my mom's hoarding spirit, except I was hoarding people. Oh no, I got to let people go. But then that pushed me to be more like my dad, because my dad doesn't know how to communicate with people and he just ghosts people. He just leaves. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, not hoard no more, okay, bye. And I was like, oh, fuck. Now I'm like my dad. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I started to go to therapy as well, because I just felt like I couldn't win. Every direction I was becoming someone that I didn't want to become that version of. It's like I cannot change without an outside force. Could not. And so yeah, so those are just two habits.
Have y'all ever seen The Wire? It's one of my favorite TV shows, and by the very end, it literally shows what happens when people, teenagers, become a product of their environment, and they literally become the people that they grew up watching, that they said, I don't want to be him.
Like that person, right?
I don't know if y'all remember like the very, very last episode. It was literally like the kids, the teenagers.
At this point,
you are years behind.
My bad, y'all. I ain't gonna give away who became what, but like each of those teenagers literally became people in the neighborhood that they didn't want to be. So the one of the teenagers became like the stick-up kid, never wanted to be him. One became like the neighborhood drug addict. They never wanted to be like, they would, laugh at the neighborhood drug addict, but he very much so became him. And another one became this very studious kid, changed his life when he was the one that was knee deep in the streets. And so what you just said about these outside forces and how you became you became what you didn't want to be. A lot of times we become products of our environments. And it's dangerous if we don't notice it before it's too late. So I'm happy that you were able to get that, mental health professional to kind of just have that conversation with.
That's the reality, right?
Have that sick discussion with.
Okay.
Knock everything over. But no, because like in reality, we work so hard at becoming the exact opposite of people, but we never learned the steps that they took to even become who they are.
Right.
So here we are thinking that we're going around the block and around the corner, we jumping over the fence. And you're actually directly in the path of becoming exactly who they became because you never learned how they became who they were.
True.
It's sickening.
You literally ran to what you thought you were running from.
True. True.
Sickening.
Sick.
PSY. But, all right, so let's get more into y'all business. Real quick, rapid fire. What are some of y'all good habits? Because it's so easy to go into the bad because we so healed. What's some of y'all good habits?
I make my bed up in the morning.
Yo, I do
ain't
not.
really got that.
Every
Sometimes
morning?
depends on the day for me.
Okay, it's one of your good habits.
Mm-hmm.
You got some more?
I laugh a lot.
Okay.
I laugh a lot. I love a good laugh. I like peace and quiet. So I truly
Shut the hell up.
Respectfully.
no. As an adult that lives by herself, I'm okay with peace and quiet. I think that's a good habit to pick up. So I don't need to be in a room of 50 people in order for me to be satisfied or have joy. Like I could be in my apartment by myself and I'm like, yo, man, this peace and quiet ain't a price tag you can put on it. So I think that's a good habit to be able to have that perception where you can enjoy just silence and be thankful for it. So
Okay. Nah, you just stole so many of my good habits. Honestly, but
My habits.
I'm gonna think of some more.
you know we
That's what I do.
twins.
We have to be at this point. Have to be.
What y'all got?
I don't.
Okay, I'll go. It took a while for me to pick this habit up, and I pride myself on it. But not taking things personal. It took me so long to pick that up. Reggie may be having a day. I'm not getting
personal.
Not getting the energy I expect from him. At first I'll be like, damn, what's going on with bro? Did I do something? I would literally sit there and try to figure things out. And now I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on. I'm just not gonna take it personal. If it's something he want to bring to me, that's perfectly fine. If not, I know I didn't do anything for a fact. Or if I feel like I did, I would ask. But I would never just assume I did something. So not taking things personal. And I think that's my number one. Because it took a long time for me to get to that point. And now I'm not gonna stress it. If it's not it may be something, it may not be something, I'm not gonna worry about it. When the time comes, we'll talk about it. So not taking stuff personal, literally my number one.
That's good.
Gotcha. Let's see what I got here. I'd say one good habit I have is being organized. Not being organized almost freaks me out to an extent. What is going on here? What's happening? I need to know. Let's have this in order. Have some structure.
Yes.
Another good habit that I have is I learned how to let things go and not necessarily not care, but I'm gonna say not care for lack of better words. Because I used to hoard things or emotions to be could I have done this better or done something like this? But it's at the end of the day, you can't change what already happened. This happened, so either you gotta take it on the chin and keep going, figure it out, not just ponder on it and bring yourself down, because that takes you nowhere, honestly. But those are those ones I got.
Okay. One of my good habits is I've learned how to better choose my battles. Not everything deserves a response.
That part.
And
so true.
Especially as a teacher, I've learned not everything warrants a response. Because there's so many little attitudes that these students try to have, especially when they're in the wrong. It's I can go there with you, but what's that gonna do? I know I'm gonna win because at the end of the day, I control your grade. Like, what is that gonna do?
What did Nicki Minaj say? I win, you lose.
She's so petty. But no, like for real. And not just even with students, even with people. If I'm like, you're loud and wrong, and you're willing to do this for a long time,
yeah,
you got it.
Right.
You got it. Who am I to try to prove you wrong when I know you wrong and you loud about it?
Like, this is something you got to deal with.
That's something you got to deal with.
All you.
So I learned one of my good habits. I learned how to pick my battles. Another habit that I'm gonna say is a good habit is I learned how to just like mind my business. Y'all, like for real. So many people used to come to me for advice. So many people would come to me for mentorship and guidance.
So did. Reggie was captain safe. Reggie. Now you sure you can handle this right now?
And like, even though my life was in chaos, like the one thing that was keeping me going for a certain amount of time was helping others. That was my purpose for a long time. And to that capacity of like creating goals and creating improvement plans and things like that. And so now when I say I mind my own business, when I tell y'all, like, I don't worry if you're okay. I'm going to always assume you're okay until you tell me otherwise. I don't worry if you fix that situation. When you're ready to tell me, you're going to tell me. Like, I'm just at such a point where it's like, I'm not always wondering, because that's how I was. I would sit in rooms by myself, and instead of focusing on my peace, I would focus on, are other people okay? And it's like, no, actually, are you okay?
Yeah.
And so that's one of my best habits now. It's like, I'm not worrying about other people. When it's meant for our lives to intersect, whether it's via text, via call, via in person, it will. Because I trust God that much. Other than that, I don't give a damn. Respectfully.
Respectfully.
Yeah. That's the key.
Okay, so those are some of our good habits, and all things have an equal but opposite reaction. What are some of y'all bad habits? Good is cute. What are some of our bad habits?
I can kick this one off. So whether it's like with someone I'm dating or friends, family, I definitely find myself like projecting who I am onto other people. I'm like a super laid back person. Like I said, a lot of things don't really move me. If it's like doesn't really matter to me, or if I don't think it's a big deal, like sometimes I like project that onto other people. Like, well, it don't matter to me. Like, it shouldn't matter to you.
Yeah.
Or like I feel, like I feel this way. You should feel this way too.
All right.
And I realize like everyone's different. Like I can't do that. It's not okay. But it's like, especially in dating, like I've learned that like the hard way. Like it's just so many arguments I could have avoided. Like, because you're not me. And it took me a long time to realize like when dealing with other people, you literally have to like put yourself in their shoes sometimes. But you feel like it's like the smallest situation is dumb. Like you have to put yourself in their shoes and respect how they feel.
All right.
That's like a whole nother like factor of like I've caught myself, okay, I'll put myself in your shoes, but like I still think what you how you feel is dumb. Like, no, I gotta respect it though. So projecting myself onto other people, and I would definitely say like another bad habit of mine is just holding on to things too long, especially relationships. Like I feel like if I put time into it, effort, like if I truly like I cared about you at one point in time, like it may like our time like expire, but I for some reason want to like hold on, like no, we can make it work. Like not even just dating, like friends too. Like we put so many years into like what we've been doing, like we'll figure it out. But I'm like literally learning now, like everything's not meant to last. Like our paths cross, our time have like come to an end. Like it's okay. Like let me just think about the things I've learned from you and the growth we had, the good times, and the bad is the bad. It is what it is. So just learn how to let go, because there's a lot more that can come to you if you stop holding on to things that you're not supposed to hold on to.
Jeez.
So that's definitely like something. I said everything that I'll be sharing with y'all, I'm learning now. Like, don't think like I've learned this. You like, no, I'm really I'm growing with the podcast. So I'm still young, but these are things I'm literally learning now.
That's everything you just said. I think is essential for us is like growing people to really grasp that, because one thing that we can rely on is that things will change. And that change often brings about grief when we've become so accustomed to having people in our lives, whether romantically, platonically, or even like from a family standpoint, and that not have that because the relationship has expired, it causes grief. Even if it was like a toxic relationship, right? Even if the person is hitting you over the head, even if the person is a family member that's down and you telling you ain't gonna be nothing every single day. But a lot of times we become so accustomed to like the presence and the actions of people that not having them.
So true.
You gotta grieve it. Definitely gotta grieve it. Yeah.
And with that, I would say like sticking to it. Cause like sometimes I'll let go of situations and then I'll like low key find myself like going back.
You unblock them.
I miss my ex. Like, no, that's the reason like we didn't work out. So let me just stick on the path I'm supposed to be going.
Right.
Cause a lot of people who do fear change. Like we just comfortable in this. Like, I've been doing this for so long. I know it, whether it's good or bad. I know this person.
Yep.
Like, no, it's stunning your growth. Like there's so much more life to be experienced. There's so much more to come your way, but you literally stunt your own growth if you hold on to old things. So
that's a word.
All right now, Ma.
That's it.
Yeah. One bad habit I have that I'm still like I know it's a bad habit and I've been working on it is to not expect me from other people. Because kind of similar to what Marvin was just saying. Maybe that's why we friends. Like I'll be certain situations happen and I'm just like, why? Like, are you dumb? Like, what's going on? Like, not to be rude. Like, what's happening? Like, why is that the first thought? Why is this? Like, I would have handled this so differently. Like, why is that your thought process? But I mean, I've had to learn like situations, people thought process. Like everybody's different, so everyone's necessarily maybe they were raised different. Something happened in their life or this how they react to something is a different way than I react to something. But even I don't know. It's just kind of hard for me to sometimes process those things, but I'm aware of it now. So I've been trying to do better with that. But that's kind of just one I got right now.
Gotcha.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yo, one of my bad habits is I keep giving people gifts that they're not ready for. Like I have an
It's gonna be a word.
Okay, now
you know what I mean. I do. I have an annoyance. Like whenever whenever God tells me like this person is supposed to be in your life, whether it's for this reason or it's for this season, I see things like before you see them. I see it happening. I see what's gonna come next, and I don't just see it from one way. I see okay, here's some pros that can happen. Here's some cons that can happen. Like I see multiple ways that this can lead. You know what I mean? And having that gift of discernment and being blessed with that level of vision is like, you can see when there's more positive outcomes than negative. You can see when there's more negative than positive. And so I try to give people those gateways, but they don't be ready to make those decisions. They don't be ready, to make decisions. And that's a whole nother situation. And so then here I am with this vision and seeing outcomes of your life, knowing that I can talk to you about them, but then having to realize like you are not ready for this information.
True.
You're not ready to do the work. You're not ready to be consistent. You're not ready to stick with it. Like you're not ready to call that quits. You're not ready. And that's such a bad habit of mine because oftentimes I still find myself like, well, let me tell you the road you headed down anyway. And then God be like, oh, you think you me? Well, fuck it. Take their damage. So it's like, oh, okay, well, take the lesson then that I was gonna teach them, but now it's multiplied because if you knew better, you do better. You know what I mean? So that's one easily one of my bad habits. Dope. So that. What are some of your bad habits?
Some of my bad habits actually are represented by some of my good habits, but when I take them to the extreme, they can be bad. So I talked about like enjoying peace and quiet and stuff. Sometimes I could turn into a loner. And people may be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Is something wrong? I'm like, no, I'm good. Like,
just don't want to be bothered.
Right. I had enough human interaction right now, And so I had to be very mindful of that, of how that can impact some of my relationships with people. I'm like, okay, well, let me step outside of what makes me comfortable and let me, mix and mingle a little bit. So I would say the loner piece sometimes. And then I would say, I can be real no nonsense at times. Like I just don't do mess. I don't do drama. I don't have time for that. And if you think I'm going to sit here and just indulge in that, it's like, you got me messed up. And when I say you got me messed up, it's gonna get real different real quick, which is nothing's gonna happen but me just remove myself from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to learn how to show people grace. Because just because I've gotten to a place where I know how to handle certain situations doesn't mean that everybody has gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a time where I wasn't there yet. So I think I have to show more grace because my no nonsenseness can kick in. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with this. But that also, I realized I got a lot of that from my dad. So my dad is a very no nonsense guy, like served in the army. So like that whole like macho masculine, I said what I mean what I said, I'm not gonna say it again. Like some of that kind of rubbed off on me. And I'm having to unlearn it because I can be real no nonsense. So I'm working on it though.
Okay. Decent. What is your sign, by the way? Not that matters. What is your sign?
What you think it is?
I don't know, and I suck at this game.
I'm not gonna tell you because you're gonna give me a hard time because
Lord,
all of y'all been giving me a hard time.
Jesus.
I like Geminis. I don't care.
But it's your season though, so we gonna.
It is. Birthday coming up.
What's crazy is Geminis do be wildin', but I have a really good relationship with Geminis.
I do too,
I'm a Virgo though, but I'm also a cuss baby. I'm the last Zeta Virgo, so it's like you get Virgo and then you get Libra from me. But for some reason, I do well with Geminis, but I do identify like Geminis be wildin'.
No, but here's the thing: I'm not big on like signs. So if you tell me your birthday, I cannot tell you what sign you are. Like that's how not into it I am. But I know people give Geminis a hard rep. And at first, I was like, ain't no two sides to me. And I'm like, it is two sides. It surely is. But one side is like, I can do this and interact with people. Another side is a chick don't want to be bothered. Let me go and watch my Let me go watch my little Drew Hill live performance. We talked about that earlier, y'all. Like sometimes I in order for me to recharge, I need to have my own space. And so it's the duality of that for me. But I don't subscribe to all the other stuff they say about Geminis. We good.
I get along with Geminis.
Just checking. All right, so let me get a little bit more into y'all business.
You wasn't already.
Oh no, let's go deep.
Ooh, surgical.
Deep.
Man,
that's so spicy. That's so spicy.
So no, how do you know? So we've identified good habits and bad habits. So like, how do you know what habits you need to break? Like, how do you identify? Like, you know what? I got to stop this shit. I got to stop doing this. Whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, I have to stop doing this. How do you identify those things?
That's a good question. What Natalie said earlier, when it's bringing down the whole plane, then it is time to get rid of it.
Okay. So when you sick or tired of these snakes on the plane, it's time.
Not Samuel L. Jackson. All these
like,
snakes.
Where do you come with that?
Plane.
On this plane.
Talking about so now. Since you want to talk about snakes on the plane. But yeah, when you need to break, the question was how you know when you need to break a habit. I'll say when you realize there's something that's hindering your growth and the goal you want. So by the end of the month, a year, you have this goal and it's like this habit that you have and you recognize this is a bad habit but you keep doing it. Then it's just like, are you gonna fix it? This is getting to self-sabotage territory. And it's just like, what are you gonna do? You gotta like look in the mirror and be like, what are we doing today? Like, are we gonna keep this going? Am I giving myself grace? Another week of this? Next week we go set this deadline. We go get it cracking. We go do this. It's really just a conversation with yourself that has to be had on if you want to break that habit.
Okay.
If you want to break that.
Yeah. Because you can know something's a bad habit and you still out here doing cracking cards. PPP. Like you can know that's something bad you shouldn't be doing, but yeah.
I like that.
That's not to be like super whatever.
No,
but it reminds me of like the the story in the Bible. My mentor always tells me, don't quote none in the Bible if you can't tell me where it came from. But I'm gonna break that rule. I'm gonna break that rule.
The podcast.
Right. But and there's a couple times in the Bible where Jesus asks, like, do you want this? Like, do you want to be made whole? Do you want to be made well? And I think it shows sometimes we can become comfortable in bad habits or comfortable in that's just how I am, or experiences or things. So that's what reminded me of.
Okay.
Nobody's preacher. You know?
Be known.
You about to be somebody teacher and professor. All right now.
Okay.
Dr. Bay, loading.
Dr. Bay.
That's dope.
But it's Dr. Nat to y'all.
I'm not even going into that. I'm like, wait, who's gonna call me Dr. Bay? Never mind.
Okay, so for me, when I realize it's time to break a habit, like when I realize or I catch myself in the act of doing it, like I know I set a goal to be working out, but like, damn, I'm on my 5th episode of Fresh Prince or X-Men. Like I'm watching like 3 movies. I know I should have been starting this. Like, why? I know I'm procrastinating right now. And Dan brought up a great point. I do this all the time. I'm like, well, shit, right now it's May 25th, but I'll start next month. Like I'll start eating better next month. Start today, start tomorrow. I'm that person. Like like I said, it'd be Tuesday. I'm like, well, I'm gonna start Monday. Like I ate 3 Skittles. I'm gonna start next week. Like no, start now. So if I catch myself like in the act of doing something, and I know I set a goal, or if I'm like literally creating deadlines, like okay, well I give myself to the end of next week. If I don't start by next week, or I'm gonna push it back another week. Like so, when I start doing that, I know like okay, I need to really take this seriously.
That's good.
Okay.
But I still do it though. So
now I gotta call Marv and see what he's doing.
Yeah, hold me accountable, y'all.
Be watching Fresh Prince.
Hold me accountable.
You know what? It just seems like the moments where you are like slacking are the moments where I'm overwhelmed, and so I can't hold you as accountable. Like as accountable. Because I'll be ready to be on your ass. Because I very seldomly do I get to be on Marv's ass. And so it's like, but damn, now it slips my mind. How do I know when I need to break a habit? When it starts to piss me off. Like as a person who lives by themselves, y'all don't understand. I believe every single human on this earth needs to live by themselves for at least a year. It's so much that you will learn about yourself when it's just you. You're responsible for the look. You're responsible for the smell. You're responsible for the sound. And then whenever it's a sound that you didn't make, you know, now you have an issue that you have to solve. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it teaches you so much. Because I used to be a stickler about dishes. Oh, I was like, y'all need to just keep dishes in the sink. Y'all so dirty. But then it's like, ooh, I got to do those in the morning.
I'm going to let them soak tonight.
I'm going to let them soak tonight. I'm like, damn, y'all just, how you let your laundry pile up like that? And now I'm like, I will go buy a new pair of drawers before I do another load. But it's like you learn these things about yourself. But I say that to say, like, when it starts to piss me off, when I know, damn, I should have did that laundry. Damn, I really should have did that. Now I don't even want to cook breakfast because I got to handle yesterday's dishes. You know what I mean? Like when it's just like, it starts to get on my nerves. Because it's not getting done. That's why I'm like, this habit of procrastination, this habit of pushing back, whatever the habit is, I have to stop this. I have to cut it out. Got to. Because now it's affecting what I do next. And so that's when I feel like you need to break a habit. When it starts to affect your next steps, you got to break that. Okay. Can I get deeper into y'all business? This is deep
just
as we
a little bit.
No, Brad.
This is as deep as we going. This is as deep as we going.
It's a free therapy session.
Okay, because
so we talking about these habits, right? What habits do y'all personally need to break? Oh, y'all should have just felt. I hope y'all felt what just took place. I hope y'all just internalized that question. Was like, fuck.
Pretty much.
But what personal habits do you need to break?
Overthinking.
Okay.
Overthinking. And you know, when you overthink something, it's almost like the snowball effect where it starts out real tiny and then it's just this big old snowball. Or you overthink it to the point where you've created this whole thing in your head. I'm like, you know what? But one thing that I've been able to do to break that is to combat it and to talk back to myself or to that voice. Not like an actual voice, but to that overthinking. It's to ask yourself, who told you that? Where'd you get that from? Well, so you made that up. Do you know that to be the truth? Well, you think or you know. Okay. You hold that until you realize that ain't it. So overthinking and then being able to combat it, and then sometimes to say it out loud to yourself so you realize how much sense that doesn't make. So I would say overthinking, but I'm intentional about really, really working on that because that'll drive you up a wall, right? Like, oh, something happened and you kind of mentioned that where you take it on and you internal it. Like, are you talking about you and Reggie? Like, oh, Reggie, he made a call a flat tire or whatever. And he came in and he chilled. And you're like, oh, something wrong. We beefed out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then you have to ask yourself, who told you that? Did he say that? No. Well, he didn't. Did you ask him if he was okay? Like maybe he had a rough day at work, something like that. So just really being able to get excited though about recognizing what my habits are because I'm committed. There's a lyric by King Von, which is a whole other story. A rapper that I like his music. I really enjoy. So sad about his death, but he's like, I'm committed to this money like a marriage. Like I'm committed to myself. Like I'm literally committed to myself to not being perfect, but to be the best version I can be without being tied to perfectionism. So I'm committed to getting better with these bad habits and not overthinking everything.
I felt that.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling everything she just said. Being a professional overthinker right here on this couch.
I have to get paid for that. You said professional.
Professional.
I'll ruin my day at 10:30 overthinking. They just start. I'm thinking about something from yesterday.
I should have said that.
I blew myself. I blew my whole day.
Yeah, Reggie be on me though. We got pictures from the podcast that we took in like February. They ain't see the light. They ain't see the light of day yet. Cause I'm like, oh, they can be edited better. But y'all gonna see him eventually, I think. Or we just gonna take some new pictures.
We're gonna take some more pictures.
No, we seeing these pictures and then gonna take some more. It's just that simple.
Completely different.
We'll say both of them.
Both of them.
Wow, what habits do I need to break? I'm hypercritical. So I'll be like, this thing, and then people be like, that's not even a problem. But a habit that I genuinely need to break is like, while I'm being in the moment, I also like internalize being in the moment. So sometimes like I'll live for right now. I'll be completely in the moment, but I don't even internalize like, bro, you're in the moment. That's okay. Because sometimes I'll be in the moment and I'll still be like, okay, I gotta do this next. I gotta do that next. I gotta do that. It's like, no, fuck it. Just live. Actually, take that trip. Yeah, use your credit card. Do it. You know you're gonna pay it off. Because you know you're not irresponsible. So do it. Yeah. I've been pushing off going to a chiropractor. I've been pushing off finding a new therapist. I've been pushing off going to like a esthetician. Like, it's so many things that I really wanted to do. Getting massages. Me and Marvin been talking about mani-pedis. I've not gotten a mani-pedi since last Juneteenth. Y'all, it's almost Juneteenth again. I'm so for real. But it's like these ways that I want to treat myself. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it next month. I'm gonna do it next check. I'm gonna do it that. And it's like, bro, you not hurting.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Because when somebody's like, hey, can I borrow $50? That cash app come quicker than your sin receipt.
You giving out $50 like that?
And that's not
okay. Let me get $50 actually.
A couple dollars.
But I even did Devin like that today. Like, I know, like, not to get in his business, but Devin's not hurting for cash. And so he has to make a purchase today for the podcast. And I'm like, how much do you think it'll be with tax? I can send it right now. Relax.
I was like, Reggie, let me get a receipt first.
Fine. Let me see how much it was.
Relax and actually have the same intentionality and have the same just like vigor for yourself.
Yeah. True.
So that's definitely a habit I have to break. I just do not like owing people, y'all. I've been broke for a long time. I had nothing for a long time, and I let me borrow, let me rob Peter and give to Paul. So it's like that's just a thing for me where I'm like, no, I will pay you in advance. But it's like also now pay yourself in advance. Okay.
Can I help hold you accountable to some of that stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I love that.
All right now.
I would love that.
Absolutely.
She's gonna be on my.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
You're one of my favorite people.
Okay.
Let's keep going. So these habits, because we talk about, I think I should break these habits. Real question: do y'all actually want to break these habits?
Ooh.
That's the thing. We can talk about 1,000,001 habits that we should break. Are you currently in a position where you want to break that habit?
I mean,
Those habits.
Yes. But also being a perfectionist kind of got me where I am today.
So it worked out.
It worked out for me.
It worked out. But I also know I need to I just need to take it down a few notches so I'm not driving myself crazy.
Okay.
I think moderation is key though.
Yes.
Right? Some things are good. I think most things are okay in moderation, right? A little bit of I can do better is good.
Yeah, definitely.
If it ain't never good enough, then that's what a problem sneak up on you.
Right.
But
She's right. It though. Yeah. Okay.
So maybe.
Possibly.
Yes. Playing space, 2 and a possible.
Well, yes.
I guess.
I'm not trying to be, I'll put it like that. I'm not trying to be drastic and something unattainable when it comes to perfectionist.
Okay.
But when it's something like that can be like, okay, we can do this. This isn't like off the wall, like unachievable, but even the unachievable is achievable. But there's a fine line between like driving myself crazy and there actually being a solution for what I need to be, that needs to be handled.
Okay. Do y'all want to actually break these habits?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I definitely do. Overthinking is just, that's no fun. When you created these scenarios in your head or you're trying to figure out something, you're not a mind reader, but you know, acting like you are with all of these different scenarios, that's no fun. That will literally drive you up a wall. So yes, I want to break the habit and I am proud to say that I've made some progress.
Let's hear it.
Oh, he says, go deeper. A friend of mine, like we're used to like just talking regularly all the time and we didn't really talk as much. And I like, reached out to them a couple times and like, I'm used to you at least calling me back, right? You saw that I called and now you like, oh, I'm eating dinner, I'm doing this and that. So I'm like, homie, call me back. We gotta kick in. I got a run list of stuff to talk to you about. And they didn't call me back. And like we had planned to talk one time. Like, okay, well, what works for your schedule? I know we both got busy lives. And then we planned on this time. You're like, oh no, something came up. I'm like, all right, cool. Put something else on the table. And they didn't. And I was like, did I do something to them?
That friend's not me.
No.
I'm like, damn, did I do this? No,
it was Reggie.
No. Bro, you bogus as hell.
I came here to really confront you about it.
She's so hard and you look low key.
So now that we here and we fit them into Zen, this is why
now that you brought it up.
I'm over here thinking like, have I ever fake ghosted you?
No.
I've been waiting to talk about it for a hot minute.
It wasn't Reggie. It was another friend. And I think it got to a point where some like new music came out and I sent it to the friends. I know we both love the same music. I'm like, oh my God, did you hear this? And they're like, oh no, I haven't heard it yet. I've been kind of like on my own like personal isolation bubble. I'm really enjoying it. So I haven't heard the music yet. And I'm like, I done created this whole scenario in my head. And ain't nothing wrong. We not beefing or nothing. You just on your own tip of figuring out life and maybe you decided to isolate. But I'm like, you could have said that.
Yeah.
Communicate that prior to. Like, yo, I got some stuff going on. I would have gave you your space.
Right.
But I'm so used to us, kikiing and whatever. So yeah, but the fact that I was able to take that information and be like, that was the outcome. That was the reason for why we really hadn't talked as much. I was able to calm myself down.
Okay.
So then when the friend texted me a couple weeks ago, I was just like, oh, cool. You good? All right, that's what's up. So that was progress for me. Because it was on my mind like every day for like a week. Okay. Like 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
I'm obsessing over this. And I'm like, nothing's wrong. I was just so used to that friend being like my right hand type of thing. So whatever.
Gotcha.
How about y'all?
Same. I'm trying to break those bad habits. I don't think I share my bad habit. Listeners, I'm in here listening to their bad habits. Like I'm in the audience. I'm on the whole pod. My bad. So, real quick. Okay, so my bad habit is being like over considerate to people. So I feel like at times, like if I have someone that I know, they may not even be in my circle, but I just know like something they're doing, something they're pursuing, but I feel passionate about it too. And I realize like they're lacking something. I can offer something in the same general field. I may not want to pursue it because I feel like I'm gonna step on that person's toes. Like you,
still they shine.
Yeah, like you write about whatever you write about. I feel like I have something to offer in that same, area. I may like kind of be hesitant because I feel like I don't want to step on your toes. Like, I know you. I don't want you to feel like some type of way to me. So I feel like I'll be over considerate to people sometimes, or like whatever. Like I don't want to talk about something because make someone feel some type of way. So that's something I really want to break, and I do like seriously want to just end that bad habit because I feel like I have a lot to offer, a different perspectives, or just I think to offer that's different. So just like I feel like just because I'm doing something similar to someone else, like it's not really gonna take away from their shine.
Yeah.
So I think I definitely overthink in that area. Like I don't want to look like I'm taking their ideas or like stealing something from them. But like no, I care about it just as much as you, maybe even more, because like this is what I love to do. So that's definitely one thing I really want to break. Like just being over considerate to other people. Like me doing something is not going to take from your shine. We can both eat off this.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I catch myself doing.
I had a question for you though. Have you ever been down the bread aisle in a grocery store?
Yes. This is about arguing with your order.
Yeah, like once I seen that, there's a meme, but I'll explain that for the listeners. There's a meme or a picture that's been around for a couple months now, and it talks about how people like may want to start like a makeup business or something. Like, if I start a makeup business, there's already these XYZ notable brands out there, and it's like, have you ever walked down the bread aisle? Like, there is so many different types of bread down in that bread aisle. But it's still bread nonetheless. So meaning that there's a space for everyone in the market. You just have to decide what makes you stand out. And you may have a story that a person doesn't have. So we could talk about leadership all day, but your leadership may come from your time as a big brother. You know what I mean? Your leadership may come from your time as a CEO. You know what I mean? Like it's leadership, but from a different angle, and it still has value and it has a place.
Okay. So true. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeez. We are potting,
Reggie.
Yeah, no, I want to break those habits, because even though I tell myself like, no, I'm putting myself first now and not as many other people. The thing is though, the people who are still like in my heart, like my brothers, my family, like people I consider bloods, like I actually do still prioritize those people over I prioritize myself. You know what I mean? It's like, no, prioritize you. Because when I start to prioritize me, I really feel like other people will start to figure out their own shit. And that's what it is. Because I'm really big on like taking up other people's like issues or their problems, their pain, or like I'll put it on the forefront. I'll initiate that tough conversation. And it really don't have shit to do with me. You know what I mean? And even in my back of my mind, I'm like, see, now I feel like I'm tag teaming you, or I'm double teaming. I pick the side where it's like, oh no, I'm known as the friend who like initiates the mending or the confrontation, whatever it is. It's like, no, actually prioritize yourself, because other people are also smart enough to figure their own shit out too. But like the less I put myself first, the more I will put other people. And I was like, your mess ain't my mess. But I make it seem that way because I'm not putting me first. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to break these habits. And I don't even like the word trying. I just believe in doing it. You doing it or you ain't. You know what I mean? But
ain't
it's
no
like,
in between.
I'm really pushing through this one because this shit's sickening.
Are you an empath?
Sick. Very much so.
Very much.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start to wrap this thing up. All right.
Wrap it up,
So
Dean.
then what advice do you have for someone who wants to break a bad habit but doesn't know where to start? So that's for a beginner.
Okay.
What advice do you have for them?
So advice for someone who's looking to break a bad habit but doesn't know where to start. Start simple. Like try to recognize what your bad habits are. At least pinpoint what they are. Because sometimes, like you said, you become accustomed to the thing that you do. It may become second nature. You may realize that it's hindering certain areas of growth, or like, it's holding you back from certain goals that you're trying to do. So recognize them, and then find someone that you respect enough to hold you accountable. Because you can't just find anyone to hold you accountable. Like you may be someone like, yo, you ain't got all your T's and I's, like T's crossed and I's dotted. Like, how you telling me what to do? So find someone that can hold you accountable, like you hold value in the words that they say. So I'll definitely say start there.
That's a good one. That's a good one. One of my mentors, this is the one that told me don't quote the Bible scripture unless you know where it came from. She always says, whenever I bring like a big issue to her, and I'm like, where do I start? What do I do? The sky is falling. She's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Meaning, no matter how big something may be, things start by starting. So you have to be willing to make things digestible for you, no matter how big it is. Start with small pieces. Right. And so once you take the step of figuring out what your bad habit is, there's something called systematic desensitization, which is where you find very small ways to try and desensitize yourself from something, whether it's a fear or even a bad habit. So if your bad habit is overthinking things, which is the example we gave, maybe one of your first steps could be you recognizing, okay, I'm overthinking this situation with Reggie, right? Because he didn't text me back. Example. That didn't happen in real life.
It wasn't me.
He always texts me back when I text him, right? And then you have to acknowledge it. And the second step is, okay, well, maybe I can ask him how his day went. I realized he got super busy at work. That's why he didn't text back. Or maybe I say like, hey, Reggie, that kind of hurt my feelings when you didn't text me back. So you find ways to kind of get to that resolve, which is not creating this scenario. Okay. So, small digestible steps for beginners.
All right. That's dope. That's super dope. Dev, do you have any advice for someone who wants to break bad habits but doesn't know where to start?
I definitely would say kind of how our good guest here said, start simple. Don't try to like attack it all at once. Don't try to, don't do too much. Just the most important part is recognizing that it is a bad habit and that it needs to be broken. And then after that, you put in the work to make sure that the thing that you said is a bad habit, or somebody else that you respected said is a bad habit, like you put the effort in to correct it. And even if someone tells you that something's a bad habit, if you don't think it's a bad habit, then you might even want to reflect on that, because they could be telling you for a reason. But if you don't think it's a bad habit, you're not going to work on it. So definitely take in what other people are telling you, but also like internalize what you feel as well. And just kind of have to find a balance between the two, I would say.
Dope. Yo, I would say like, don't bring other people in until you're dead ass about it. Yeah. Because here's the thing, like when you make other people responsible for your growth, they take that shit seriously. So true. Yeah. Like, so when they're invested in checking in on you, helping you come up with plans and modifying it, and deep down inside you're just procrastinating because you're not ready for the growth, you're gonna lose a friend. Yeah. You're going to lose that friend. So it's like, it's okay. Like, friends will stay around. They'll give you your distance when you are enjoying your mess. But when you rope them into your plan to do better, understand that they take that shit serious. They take it probably more seriously than you do. Yeah. So don't rope nobody in unless you're ready for real. Because you're going to lose a fucking friend.
That's even like a piece of relationship advice. Yeah.
Go that
don't
way
bring
too.
Nobody in unless you're serious.
Come on. Come on.
That's another episode.
Come on in the room. No, but no, that's dead ass though. Like, that is a word that now is transformative to every part of your life. Don't bring nobody in unless you for real. You don't want to waste nobody's time, because hurt people hurt people.
Come on,
you hurt somebody bad enough, they gonna want to whoop your ass.
5 minutes.
Listen,
Give me 5.
That's all. They gonna call their sister, mama, cousin them.
Everybody. Everybody.
So with that being said, I think we gonna wrap it there. Nat, where can the people find you? How can they get in contact with your dopeness?
Oh, thank you. They can find me on Instagram at Nat Will Speak, NatWillSpeak. Twitter, Nat Will Speak. Facebook is Nat Will Speak. My website, Nat Will Speak.
Come on,
consistency. Integrated. marketing, branding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, my book is available. It is on my website, natwillspeak.com. And if you're like, but Nat, I got Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon too. And if you're like, well, Nat, I like an ebook. It's on Kindle as well. So the book is available there. That's me. I would love to chit chat with your listeners if they want to reach out to me. I'm a real person, so I will respond. They DM me. Just don't DM me with no craziness. But
the nanigans.
Wait, that quick question. Are you working on like audio? Or do you audio book?
Yes, I do want to do an audiobook. I haven't done it yet. I feel like I have so much on my plate with this dissertation, constant book tours and teaching and stuff. I haven't set aside time to do the audiobook, but I would love to because I feel like I have a distinct voice as a woman because my voice isn't like super high pitched. It's like, it ain't low, but it's low enough where it ain't. I used to get teased about my voice. I digress.
They heard what you said.
Right.
That's really the voice. You said what you said and they heard what you said.
So I really do want to do an audiobook. So that's something on my radar. And as a thank you for y'all allowing me just to be on your platform and just to be a part of it. This felt so organic and just so amazing. As a thank you, I came with gifts. I couldn't come empty-handed because y'all probably would have put me out. So I
wouldn't have.
That's what they say. I brought you all copies of my book, complimentary copies. And, take some time this summer, pop it open. Let me know what you think.
Definitely.
It's put a lot of hard work into the book. This is my baby. And book number 2, we cooking.
That's
all right now. We love to see it.
So much.
What's crazy about this book, y'all, is me and Nat sat down like years ago and we talked about this book because I was working on one. She was like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And it's just crazy because she tells me how much I inspire her to write her book. And her book came out long before mine. I was just like, God really be Godding.
Yeah.
Like legit, because my book ain't ready yet.
And that's it. You want a pot roast or you want some
You want mushy
okay,
you
want some pot roast on or a fajita.
Listen, or you want some uncooked meat that's gonna make people sick.
Not the Jewish farming grills,
So let that pot roast cook. Let it marinate, let it simmer, let it do its thing. And sometimes we have to go through certain things to put it in our book. Like the book was in the editing process. Like we were like towards the tail. Like the book we was ready, and I had this experience happen. I was like, oh no, I gotta go write another chapter. And it was I think about like 2 or 3 months before we were done. Wrote another chapter, put it in. But sometimes we gotta live, like how music artists say, like, let me go through stuff first before I can put it in the music. So don't beat yourself up about it. Take your time because it's gonna change the world.
True.
And we only doing pot roast over here. So I got y'all books. You can
Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you so much.
If y'all watching the YouTube,
I'm gonna definitely reach out.
Yo,
please do.
Love to
come
see
on,
it.
interview. No, I'm really excited to read this because I just put TDJ's book down because it wasn't doing it for me. And so after I'm done reading my comic book, sorry, TD. Terrence Deshawn, that ain't his name, but this I'm gonna put this on my next read for real because I am super excited.
Questions on the inside, y'all.
You might be
interactive book.
No, for real. Please do.
Behind the stage.
I was on page 50 and the question said,
"Yo, no, yeah,
this is dope for real."
So
thank you.
Thank you so much for pulling up to the basement because you listen for real. You rock with the podcast for real. And so I'm gonna make sure we get you something special as well because now that we're in the habit of gifting, we give good gifts over here.
Listen, that's my love language. It's not the top one though. It's not my top love.
So thank y'all so much for tuning in. As always, the world is sick,
but good conversation is the cure.
And we are out.
Sick.